Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Living the Sweet Life. I'm your host, TJ Sweet. And on this podcast, I'm going to be talking about some different ways that can help you live with intention, reshape your mindset, and look at the world through a grateful lens. So first of all, thank you for spending some time to listen to these episodes every week. The show is growing tremendously, which I'm super, super grateful for. It wouldn't happen without you and without the inspiration that you give me on a day-to-day basis. So thank you for subscribing on iTunes, on Spotify, and also on YouTube. The show is growing a lot on YouTube, so I appreciate you all. And again, all those links are available on my website at tjsweet.net if you want to stay connected on a routine basis. Send me log in on the website, fill out that form so you can get our newsletter that comes out every week as well. So I wanted to kind of talk a little bit more this week around some questions that I've been getting, and honestly, something that I work through a lot with my clients. And so one of the most common questions that I get and kind of, topics I get to work with people through is how to move beyond the need for external validation and how to find self-worth and self-belief through internal recognition. So moving beyond external validation and focusing more on internal recognition about who we already are. So the reason why this topic is so important is because it's an easy trap to fall into of determining your success, your value, your worth based on what other people tell you and what other people think. And so, with this podcast, luckily, the people that I'm the most grateful for give me great feedback, but it's not from a place of judgment. It's from a place of support. But I also ask for their feedback, and it comes from a place of not validation, but just the constant pursuit of growth. But I also really, really value their thoughts. So there's like a sweet spot here of wanting feedback, but not needing validation from that feedback. Is if I don't feel great about something, I'm rarely going to ask for feedback about it. And so if I feel good and confident about what I'm doing and when I'm doing it, all the different things, again, that's because I feel good about it, not because somebody else said it feels good about it. And so we've talked about this topic of cognitive dissonance quite a bit, to where it kind of becomes you're doing something that doesn't align with who you are. And so it's a matter of understanding who you are first, to understand that maybe that's the tension you're feeling in a lot of different areas of your life of, maybe the people you're surrounding yourself with don't really match who you are anymore. And you've outgrown that group, or you've outgrown the person that you spend some time with, and understanding that it is natural to kind of feel that tension. They don't necessarily belong in the same headspace or heart space. It's hard to really feel that sense of belonging when you have different ways of communicating, or different likes, or different beliefs. And I'm not saying you have to be around people who are the same, but typically for a relationship, person to person, no matter which way it is, there has to be something there that is deeply rooted, that is the same, that you never feel like you're pushing and pulling too much against that person. It really is more about we have differences that complement each other, not differences that separate us. Okay, so that kind of gets into values, not just likes, kind of who you are as a person, the amount of effort you give, things you want, a big picture in life, not just the foods they eat and different things, simple things, music they listen to and all that. Those are different things that make us unique. But understanding too, this idea of somebody else having to like something for you to like it is a trap. You'll actually start to lose yourself if that's what you focus on. And so, again, this week, I want to talk a little bit about kind of living with intention, but it's also reshaping your own mindset about how you define your own value. And, as a life coach and as a podcast host, I encounter many, many, many different people who struggle with the need for external validation. And I've been through that journey. And we often seek approval and acknowledgement from others to feel worthy and capable. Sometimes it's not just to get an opinion. Sometimes it's to actually feel worthy and capable. However, the true empowerment that comes, that really inspires us, comes from within. And so learning to trust your own beliefs and really kind of validates your abilities for living a fulfilling and authentic life. Because you take you everywhere. All these people that you're asking for their opinion, again, sometimes we take criticism from others, but we would never ask them for our opinion. So why would we even give value to their criticism? Okay. So, throughout this episode, I want to talk a little bit about kind of understanding external validation, but then also I want to try to kind of pour into you all and give you, just a few examples of ways that you can kind of overcome that. First, recognize it and then overcome it. So first, I want to talk about the external validation and kind of how it can impact us quite a bit. And so understanding that external validation really simply just means to need and seek the approval and recognition to actually feel good about who you are and what you're doing. And again, it's natural to want some sort of acceptance and praise, but it also, you have to start with your own internal acceptance and your own internal praise about what you're doing. Think about external validation is the extra affirmation, not the actual validation. So relying solely on external validation, again, it's something that you can't rely on consistently. Again, think about if somebody was starting their business and they started their business solely based on what you thought about it, not their ability to do it. And if somebody said, imagine giving feedback to a business or a restaurant or just any person in general and saying one thing and they completely change their life because you thought so, right? It can kind of turn into multiple things, but the need for external validation starts to show up. And I grew up, truthfully, with that desire to want external validation from my family and from my parents, and wanting to make them proud and needing to hear it. And as long as what I did aligned with what I thought I should be, what they thought I should be doing, then I was okay with it, even though it wasn't necessarily what I wanted. I then started to want what they wanted for me. And I've had some recent conversations with some of the people that I get to have in my life, and that really started to bubble up and manifest in the sense of, when was the last time you did something because genuinely you wanted to do it, not because somebody else said you should? And early on in my career, I was doing things because other people said you should try this, and I was like, okay, I'll put in the work and put in the effort. I'll try it. And so I wasn't really moving with intention. I was moving with somebody else's ideas. And honestly, that's probably why it took me so long to get here, is because I kept bouncing around based on what other people thought I should be doing, not based on what I really wanted to be doing. And to do anything with excellence, you have to love it and you have to really be behind it and why you're doing it. Because those things that I started, or things that I stopped because other people gave me opinions, those people weren't the ones doing it. They were not the ones that were carrying it out. And honestly, and this isn't in a negative way, but I've grown and I don't really talk to those people in my life. I've moved and different things. I've grown apart from them. And but here I am changing my whole career trajectory based on what they thought I should be doing, just because they saw something in me. But I think I bounced around so much because I never really knew who I was. And I never really saw anything in me besides potential to do something. But when somebody came along and said, you should do that, you should be a professional golfer, you could do that. Okay, cool. I'll totally shift my whole life to do that. You should be a CEO of a health system. Okay, all right. What's my path? I'll start doing that. That honestly are two directions that I went in my 20s. And understanding, it's like, when somebody said you should write a book, I was like, okay, yeah, I'll do that. And but this podcast and what I do with my coaching and speaking and now leading people within the healthcare sector, I don't do it because somebody else said I should. I do it because I love it. And there's so much power in that. But so I can speak to that needing external validation. And once we kind of set that weight down, we start to be able to move forward with our own internal recognition, internal belief systems. And so I want to talk just a couple things that you may feel this when you recognize that you're leaning too much on external validation. So the first thing that oftentimes external validation brings to our lives is insecurity. Constantly seeking approval can make you doubt your worth, even when validation is not received. And so if somebody doesn't tell you that you did a good job, you start questioning whether or not it was good. If somebody doesn't make a comment to you about how you look or how you sound or how much their post meant something to you or how much your effort matters, you start to question whether or not it mattered at all. So you start to feel insecure about yourself, about your worth, about your looks, about your knowledge, about what you're capable of, if somebody else doesn't give you that validation. So if you start to feel that doubt, it's because you're focusing a touch more on external validation. The second one, guilty of this, really used to be guilty of this sometimes now, because it still happens, right? We're human. But dependency. So first one was insecurity. Second one is dependency. So if your self-esteem becomes dependent on the opinion of others, it will start to limit your sense of independence. If you have to ask other people if they like that type of music, or if they like certain foods, or if they do want to go on a certain vacation, or they want to read a book, or they whatever it is, right? If you're asking other people so that that can give you direction, again, I've already admitted to that, then you'll start to lose your sense of independence, because you start to realize you didn't actually make any choices because of what you wanted. You made choices based on what other people thought they wanted. But oftentimes those people change what they wanted anyway. And then the third one, so after insecurity, after the feeling of dependency, the third one is this feeling of stuck, right? Stagnation is how I described it in my notes, but really fear of disapproval. Needing that external validation will cultivate a fear of disapproval, but that fear can prevent you from taking risks and pursuing your true passions. Again, I can't state that one enough. If you're needing external validation so much that it actually creates fear that you don't pursue what you want, which again, I feel guilty to this. I've been through this. I have great ways to help you through this. But that's honestly what took me so long to get where I am right now, is because I was relying so much on the external validation of others when I started something new and I was excited about it and nobody gave me feedback and nobody cared and nobody liked my posts and nobody listened to the podcast, nobody bought the book. I thought, well, you know what? Now I don't even want to pursue more things. If I'm not, if I'm not getting the external validation that I need to then feel the value, then why, right? Why start something new? Because then it's just going to keep happening again. But again, I found some ways to overcome this, but it's just trying to speak to you in maybe a place that you are, or maybe it's a place that you were. But now my goal really is to kind of help you shift to a focus on internal validation. So spend enough time talking about external validation. Let's focus on what we want and less on what we don't want. Internal validation, is it really involves recognizing and appreciating your worth and your capabilities based on your own beliefs and your own self-awareness and your own self-assessment. So here are some things that I've done that have helped me move beyond that place of needing external validation. So the first thing is really cultivating the sense of self-awareness through reflection. So develop a deep understanding of yourself. If you find yourself on social media, or you find yourself looking around, judging yourself, or looking at others to then judge yourself, flip that time frame around to where you look at yourself more, study yourself more instead of the lives of others. Reflect on your values and your strengths and your achievements and opportunities to grow. Focus more on that based on what you want, not based on where somebody else is. A couple questions for you to think about that may help you start this process of self-reflection is, what are your values and beliefs? Like, really, what do you want to do? What achievements are you proud of that you have, that you've accomplished? What strengths do you have? And then what are some things that you can work on to grow closer to the person you want to be? Now, journaling, again, we've talked about all these things in different ways, but journaling here is really, really powerful. When you start writing down what achievements are you proud of, if you're staring at that piece of paper or the document, if you want to do it on a computer, if you're staring at that and you can't think of anything, that should tell you that's an opportunity to spend more time on self-reflection. Okay, that's why journaling is so powerful. So write down your thoughts, your feelings, and your experiences to gain a deeper sense of self-awareness so that you stop relying. Oftentimes we seek external validation when we have a internal doubt. So once you start working on internal, again, recognition, you stop needing external validation. So that's a very simple process that you can start immediately. And again, I promise you, it will make a difference for you. And then after you start to recognize who you are and what you want, and focus more on what you want instead of what's in the way, set some personal goals and standards based on what you want. Don't ask somebody, hey, I'm thinking about this. What do you think? Don't ask that question. Ask them maybe, how they can play a role in it or whatever it may be, but define your own standards of success. Don't look at social media. Don't look at the people around you. Don't look at your neighborhood or your friends and determine, okay, if I achieve that level, then I'll be successful, because that's not true, right? And so set personal goals that will align with who you are and your passions, and then focus on what matters to you. Keep the important things as the important things, instead of not just solely on what other people expect from you. Because sometimes it's good to know what other people expect from you, because that's often a projection that you're giving them. But just make sure it aligns. And then by setting and achieving your own personal goals, you'll kind of build that confidence of self-worth that will reduce the need for external validation. And then, as we work on the internal aspect here, so I challenge your self-limiting beliefs. Identify and challenge any limiting beliefs that you have to understand your self-worth, and replace some of these negative self-talk with positive affirmations. I've said this more times than I can count, and I promise I'll keep saying it. The words that we say to ourselves matter. Even if somebody else tells us they believe in us, if we don't believe in ourselves, we won't believe them. When somebody gives you a compliment, if you don't believe it about yourself, you won't believe them. And so instead of thinking, I'm not good enough, remind yourself that you are capable and deserving of success. You're capable and deserving of love, and feeling loved, and waking up excited. You're worthy of that, and you deserve that. And instead of thinking, I need others' approval, remind yourself your worth is inherent and not dependent on others. Now, the next one I want to talk about is something I've had to do, which has really helped me a lot, but it's embracing vulnerability and creating this deep sense of authenticity. And, ultimately, there's this idea of trying to act in a way that makes sense for other people starts to jeopardize who you are. And again, this is that cognitive dissonance that we've talked about. But embrace your authentic self and allow yourself to be vulnerable. And just, you don't have to be perfect. Just allow, say the words like, you need to heal, that you need time, you need space. Share your true thoughts and feelings and aspirations without fearing judgment. Because when we actually fear judgment, it's because we don't actually believe in those things, that it's possible for us. And so authenticity fosters this genuine relationship and connections with others, but also with yourself. You start to feel like you have to look around. You don't have to look around as much to wonder what people are thinking of you. And, you've seen those people that just walk around like they don't care what you think of them, right? And there's a super powerful, authentic, and vulnerable space there that is rooted in self-acceptance, but it really, really is rooted in reducing the need for external validation. And so, as we kind of work through personal and professional, need of external validation, a great way to do something in your own life that will help you feel accomplished and worthy and valuable without needing somebody else is this idea of celebrating your achievements. So the next one's really about take time to recognize and celebrate your achievements, no matter how small. Create a success journal where you document your accomplishments and positive experiences, because whenever you start to doubt yourself, if you're focusing on what you've accomplished and how far you've come, you'll stop being threatened by other people's success. And then, reviewing your journal on a regular basis, whether it's the things that you're proud of or the things you're grateful for, or maybe it's your goals, or maybe it's your achievements, you will reinforce your self-belief and remind yourself of your capabilities, which again will reduce your need for other people to remind you of those. And then, the people that we get to do life with is extremely powerful. And this is probably the biggest shift that I've had in my life and that God's done in my life, is really building this supportive inner circle. There's always going to be people in our lives, but who do we really let in our lives? And so surround yourself with people who support you and uplift you, who believe in you when you don't believe in yourself, who challenge you because they believe in you, not because they're threatened by you. And, it's important to cultivate this sense of internal validation. Having positive and encouraging people in your inner circle really, really kind of exponentially reinforce your self-belief and provide you valuable feedback. Because again, we're not meant to do this life alone. But you also can't just rely on the opinions of others. And again, I'll say it. There's a great quote about don't pay attention to the criticism from people you would never ask for their opinion. And so, that inner circle, and I'm grateful that I get to have some amazing people in my life that lift me up in the most amazing ways. And so I really encourage you to think about who you spend time with and think about how they make you feel. And just understanding that sometimes you need to do that self-reflection so that you can spend more time, whether it's on the phone or a text message or a meetup, whatever it is, to spend more time with the people that lift you up, because we need those people in our lives to really give us that deep sense of connection and purpose. So I have just a couple more things. Focusing on your growth. Again, a lot of times we only see people's accomplishments. We don't see their growth. And so we kind of have that difference of view. So adopt a growth mindset and view challenges as opportunities for learning and development, not failures. And embrace this idea of failure, whatever that may look like to you, and setbacks as part of the growth process. Focusing on personal growth rather than seeking approval allows you to build confidence in your own abilities. And lastly, it's I've had great mentors and coaches in my life. So again, like I said, this is one of the first things, and one of the things that I do often with the people that I get to work with as coaching clients is seek some people, seek a mentor, seek a coach that can help you understand this and kind of get at that deep rooted issue that is creating this deep need for external validation. So consider working with a coach or a therapist or somebody to explore and address any deep seated issues that related to your self-worth and validation. Because unless we recognize that, we're rarely going to come on the other side of not needing the external validation, but we'll also never really see our own worth. And it is so powerful in our own lives of once you start to understand what you're worth and how you deserve to feel, and who you get to be around and all of that. A life coach can kind of guide you through creating some valuable insights, or helping you create some valuable insights, and give you some tools and systems to help you continue to build and grow as a person. And so, I hope this episode, as I wrap up here, I hope this episode really kind of spoke to you. And maybe if you know somebody who's constantly needing external validation, but you're not really sure how to say it, hopefully I gave you a couple things throughout this episode that you may be able to suggest. And again, not because somebody needs to, but because somebody can. And so break free, as I wrap up here, break free from this idea of external validation. And when you do that, it's a transformative journey in your life. And so there's another really great quote. I think it says something along the lines of, you glow differently when you don't rely on external validation, but it comes from internal validation, or something like that. But I kind of rephrased it. But like, again, when you know somebody who's really genuinely giving off amazing energy because they know who they are, what they're capable of, who they're grateful for, and why they're doing it, you just give off a different type of energy than giving off energy in hopes that other people reflect it back, or giving off energy in hopes of impressing other people. Just show up, be you, and don't worry about impressing other people. And this journey going from external validation to internal recognition is really, it requires self-awareness, self-compassion, and a commitment to personal growth. And focusing on your own beliefs, again, being the loudest voice that you pay attention to in your own life, you'll cultivate this strong sense of self-worth and confidence that's not dependent upon the opinion of others. So if you really, if you want to make a tough choice in your life and make a change, but you're fearing what other people are going to say about you, you're probably relying too much on external validation. However, if making that choice doesn't align, perfectly with what other people around you are saying and all that, it's probably going to feel uncomfortable. But again, staying where you are is uncomfortable, changing is uncomfortable. So again, it's really just about choosing what comfort that you want. And so embrace your unique strengths, your capabilities, trust that you're worthy and capable of living the life that you want to be living and that you're excited about living. And remember, the most important validation comes from within, comes from belief in yourself. And then whenever you do that, you stop needing the external validation, and you stop having so much expectation from other people to need that validation. So again, as I wrap up this episode, I hope it spoke to you. My gratitude goes out to you and to all the people that I love and that I'm the most grateful for. I appreciate you. You inspire me every day to continue to grow and be a better man and a better person. and a better overall in any way that I can be in my life. So thank you for that. And, if you want more guidance, or if you're looking for somebody to kind of help you overcome something like this, I'd be honored to work with you. And so you can reach me at tjsweet.net or find me on social media, send me a message. My team and I will make sure to follow up with you quickly. We take those requests seriously. If you're really willing to reach out and message, we want to extend our gratitude back to you for that by responding to you quickly. So you can email me at tj@tjsweet.net as well. You'll be able to reach me via email for that. So as I wrap up this episode, I will, like I do every other episode, to remind you that you always have the power and the choice to reshape your mindset, live with intention, and look at the world through a grateful lens. Until the next episode, never stop.